If I tell you what to keep your eyes peeled for, they're not Easter eggs.
Come on! All right, so first question, how scary is it to take on the responsibility of adapting something as beloved as the Percy Jackson book series?
It's not scary, it's exciting. I think, it's so easy to come into projects like this and have a genuine fear that you could do everything you're supposed to do and get to the end and no one will care. And that was never a concern with this. That there are plenty of people who are checking their calendar every day and counting days until it comes out. So there's an obligation, I think, that comes with it. But it is exciting to know that there are people who are going to be on the other side of this who are ready to be made very happy if you do your job right.
So lovely. Were there any rules that you had going into this? This part of the story, these characters have to be included. This part, maybe we're going to play a little fast and loose with?
In a way that I was surprised by early on, no. There wasn't really... there was never a conversation with Rick and Becky where there was any sense of this must be or this must not be. It was much more a conversation about tone and approach and what we wanted to achieve, and it was very much a two-way conversation. Them explaining what they liked, what they didn't like. They were very open about their experience with the movies, and really not wanting to be in a dynamic again where they felt like their voices weren't heard. This is a really personal story to them. And that worked out well because I didn't want to be in a dynamic where I had to do this without being able to ask them what's important here and why is all of this built the way it is. So it was a really collaborative thing, I think, to arrive at those kinds of answers of what's in, what's out, what's different, and what really needs to stay the same.
And it was essential. I mean, they've been living with this for 20 years, so to have their voices in it was, made the difference because it came from such an honest place. A father telling a son a story, and that's why so many people have responded to this because of that honesty. Everybody can sort of relate, have access points to these characters and the way Rick built those books that he needed to be in that conversation every day throughout the entire process. And so it was pretty great to be tied to them and making sure we did this and honored that legacy.
So when you take it this seriously and you have this much respect and then you get to go to set, how do you bring the fun? How do you bring the magic when this becomes a real life endeavor?
I think part of what was important to them and what was a really good reminder constantly is you can't ever take this story too seriously, which is not to say that you can't ever respect it or want it to be important, but it's always got to be fun. And I think that went into every moment of everything, of making sure that if you want to watch the show and just have a good time, it will absolutely meet you in that place. It'll do other things too, but it'll do that. And so culture on set, tone, the kind of people you're bringing into an environment where they're going to have a big impact on kids is all really critical. It's all casting. Every role of everybody who spent meaningful time with those kids is an important piece of casting for this.
And then just what the kids brought to it. I mean, they just brought the joy, the excitement, just every day, that energy. And these three are so remarkable. Never complained. Worked for 160 days. Like it was a tall, a big ask of them, and they just loved every moment.
So I've been lucky enough to see the first few episodes, and I do think you've met some of the lofty goals that we've talked about today, but I would love to ask in closing, what are maybe some Easter eggs or moments that you really want to encourage people to keep their eyes peeled for?
If I tell you what to keep your eyes peeled for, they're not Easter eggs. I think that there were enough people in this process who have such a deep love and a deep history with this material that if you're seeing something and wondering if it's there on purpose, it's because it is.
Yeah, and I just think about, for the stuff you haven't seen yet, the guest cast that comes through the rest of the season. Pretty proud of the first half. The second half also has just people who brought such specific, beautiful moments that surprised even us. I can't wait for people to see all of those come to life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.